Joseph here on John the Hut Dweller channel. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. It's a great holiday. As you can see, I'm not wearing green. Black's more my color. But at my work, I can't wear green. I don't have any green long sleeve shirts, and I got the tattoos. I got green tattoo. Oh, you can't see it right there. Can't show tattoos. Got about 450 years, I guess, of medals here. This medal was part of an ancient rosary from Ireland. You can't see these. This was in World War II. My grandpa wore when he fought in Italy and France. And the other, got three of them here that are probably about 100 years old, and two that are about 75, probably more. I don't mean any of the medals are 450 years old themselves. They'd probably, I don't know, give it to a church or sell it, get money. I don't know. They're not Orthodox medals. Obviously, we don't believe in Fatima. But they're, it's part of my culture. Some of my ancestry is from Ireland, Southern Ireland, the Green Irish. But I always wore them even when I was an atheist. It's kind of funny. People would be like, well, why, how are you, how are you an atheist? You have a cross on. Can't really do that with atheists. I was never, even if I was anti-God, which I was an anti-culture, anti-art, anti-symbolism. People like that are fanatics. I always saw the beauty in it. It's cultural heritage. Now, I was going to do a video on Scientology, but I see this is running over 2 minutes, so I'm going to continue on with do Scientology in the next video. St. Patrick drove the serpents out of Ireland, or St. Patrick drove the serpent out of Ireland. Now, I've heard some people, Protestants, maybe some atheists. I don't know if atheists would be this stupid. Some of them might be. Themselves atheists. Maybe even some Catholics. Astoundingly. St. Patrick didn't drive the serpent out of Ireland. Snakes haven't been in Ireland for 2 million years and blah 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 and no. Yeah. The serpent in Genesis we see is a symbol for the devil, for Satan, whatever you want to call him. St. Patrick brought Christianity to Ireland, and it was the quickest evangelization of a culture. I think it's estimated something like 70% of the people switched pagan. I don't really want to say switched from paganism to Christianity, because they didn't have to totally leave their ideas, their culture behind. What he did was he took the cross and he took the sun symbol that they had, because they worshiped the sun, some of the tribes at least, put them together. That's where you get the Celtic cross. That's why it's a cross and there's a circle behind it, mostly in Celtic knots in that style. But when it talks about he drove the serpent out, it means the conversion to Christianity. Where light comes, darkness must flee. So where God is, the devil's gone. The devil flees. So the serpent did flee. It did leave Ireland. It did drive the serpent out of Ireland. Because of his evangelization, eventually Christianity would take over Ireland, and it would be one of the most Christian places for thousands of years. And some scholars even theorize that it saved the Western Church, because it got to a point where people were so corrupt and illiterate and didn't want to do stuff, they actually had to bring in monks from Ireland with their copies of the Bible to restore the church, because they were the ones that, since they were in monasteries and they weren't influenced by the continent or England, that their manuscripts were pure and they had a more less worldly theology. So it's when you hear people say, "Oh, she drove the snakes out of Ireland," that's just a myth. Well, no, it's basically a symbol in words. It's an analogy. He absolutely drove the serpent out of Ireland because, like I said, as we see in Genesis, even to the book of Revelations, the word serpent is used. Now, what is a serpent? Okay, yeah, snakes, that comes to mind. But the snake is real. Dragons we know are mythical. serpent, this is a strange word because it can mean a mythical beast, and I think that's what it originally was. Well, probably in a primeval state it was a snake, and then talk about serpents, kind of like a dragon-like, demon-like creature, maybe a snake-inhabited spirit, and now common words back to snake again, because a lot of times when they translate dragon and serpent will be the same word. So yeah, the serpent was driven out of Ireland due to the works of St. Patrick. Now, St. Patrick is an Orthodox saint. Yeah, he wasn't in Greece, he wasn't in Antioch, he wasn't in Egypt, he wasn't in Anatolia. So how can you? Because all of the church at one time was Orthodox, the entirety of the church. And it was just called the Catholic Church or the Church of Christianity. And there were no other schisms or breaks. We had Gnostics and Marcion Knights and stuff like that. But even Arius viewed himself as part of the Catholic Church, but he was, as we know, was excommunicated, anathematized actually at the Council of Nicaea. And then, surprisingly, Constantine reverted, became an Arian, and Arius remained top dog until he got stabbed in the courtyard. But St. Patrick, we would say, is truly an Orthodox Christian because he wasn't so late. Like in the 900s, the 800s are kind of questionable because the break happened in 1054, the Great Schism. He was before all that. So, was he influenced by these teachings, purgatory? No, none of that stuff was in there. It was much more pure form of Christianity, and he was actually taken as a slave to the island of Ireland. He probably was from Rome. He was living in Britain at the time. It's before the Anglo-Saxons, so he was Celtic. Celtic or maybe Latin. So he was taken to Ireland as a slave. He was there for many years, escaped. And then with Christianity, he willfully came back. And as you see in Orthodoxy and then later on Catholicism, they don't destroy the cultures and say, you need this. No. That does happen sometimes. That's the works of people. A lot of people think, well, isn't that paganism mixing the sun with the cross? No. Because it says that we will bring the light to the Gentiles. And even Augustine, somebody who's not really regarded in our church, talks about this true religion, the idea of those people who have this idea of one God who just come to it on their own. Certainly, we'd call it the Israelites, but some of the Greek philosophers, the ancient ones, had the idea of one God, and I think any ancient culture that kind of would establish an idea of monotheism would be kind of by proxy an Israelite. They're in that realm of the one God. They're obeying the first commandment, and it's probably one we know is one of the most important. And the next one is love thy neighbor, and those are the whole of the commandments. The whole commandments are love. So when St. Patrick came, he didn't destroy whole culture and say you must follow this. No, he showed them that the one true God had come to earth, was incarnate. Remember ancient Christianity for the incarnation. The how can I put this? The blending. Blending's a bit as the correct word. Bringing heaven down to earth so that earth may become heaven. Heaven coming to earth so earth can come to heaven. God became man so that man may become God. And so when you hear people say, St. Patrick, did he drive the serpent out of Ireland? He absolutely did. Did he drive snakes out of Ireland? There were no snakes in Ireland. But there was a serpent, and that was paganism. And a pretty violent form of it, actually, with human sacrifice. And because of the teachings of Christianity, that stopped. And it's so strange that we get drunk on this day. Kind of the horrible stereotype of the Irish. Oh, get drunk, blah, blah. But St. Patrick was the enlightener of the Celts. and I guess you could say the Scottish and the Welsh you may be able to group into that. But St. Patrick's Day is a good day and a good look at what a good evangelist does, who doesn't destroy a culture, who doesn't say everything you do is wicked, but explains to them and they willfully come to Christianity. And that's truly the only way somebody can become Christian. You put a gun to their head, so you must become Christian, or force them through cultural restrictions. No, their heart's not in it. There's no point. That's just bullying and fascism, and that should always be done away with. So happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. My next video will actually be about David Miscavige and Scientology. Peace. It's Joseph from JohnTheHutDweller.